I'm here as a member of community organization Norwalk Unides, and I'm here to follow up on the rent stabilization discussion that had initially been planned for November 18th of last year, but that ended up being canceled and has yet to be rescheduled. And so I'm here to urge you to reschedule this discussion as soon as you can. Young families, seniors, and other vulnerable populations are in great need of protections from these traumatic rent increases, which make it difficult for them to stay and live here as Norwalk residents. And all you have to do is look at the data to see that there has been shifts in the population in Norwalk, potentially some of those people being priced out. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the population of Norwalk in 2010 was approximately 105,000 people. And then while the most recent population estimate in July of 2023 was approximately 98,000 residents. And so that's a loss of around 7,000 residents in the span of a little over 10 years. And so that's a loss of taxpayers, a loss of families who could have stayed here, a loss of just people who would have loved to stay and be longtime residents. And during that same 10-year span, median home price increased from $258,000 to around over $600,000. And so these high housing prices make it difficult for many of us to be homeowners, and so many of us are renters. And it's not just data that shows how urgent rent control is, but also the personal stories that many of us have as renters in Norwalk. Many of us who don't really share these stories because we fear retaliation from our landlords. And just this past month, I had a close friend of mine move out of Norwalk because rent increases at her apartment were just too high. She grew up here, was really involved in a community, and wanted to stay, but she couldn't. It's because our landlord's rent increases just grew out of hand. And so no wonder our population in Norwalk has decreased. No wonder seniors have vocalized their concerns with their fixed incomes. No wonder why my friend had to move away. I want to stop wondering what will help keep people housed, because research has showed that rent control is part of the answer to addressing that. So thanks.
Next speaker, Rodolfo Cortez.
Hello, good evening, Mayor. So I also wanted to follow up with the previous speaker. My name is Rodolfo Cortez. I'm also a member of Norwalk Unides. So, we're a community group that is always growing and always very excited. We're pushing for positive things in the community, environmental justice, not to mention housing rights here. So, I think it's really important. I think maybe a lot of the time we forget that rent control, yes, it has a lot of benefits that Justin just talked about, and you can also think about, the most prosperous cities in LA County. What do they have? They have rent control, right? You can go on over to Beverly Hills, has rent control. Santa Monica, rent control. West Hollywood, rent control. So when you have rent control, what you have is community stability and the ability for a lot of certainly young people, enterprising people to actually join the community, and for the young people that grow up in the community to be able to stay in the community, and they're going to college, and making a real investment in the community that you can then benefit from, right? So we're talking about the budget. Well, imagine if people weren't spending a half of their income on housing, on rent. Well, they could go to the nice restaurants that you're wanting to build. They could set up their own business, a restaurant or a small store of many different kinds. But we have seen repeatedly for decades that the rent prices have been going up all around the country, but certainly here in Norwalk and Southeast LA more broadly, more so than other prices, right? The foods, the groceries, the gas has gone up, but not as much as the rent, and the rent was going up even before the pandemic. So you have to think broadly. I know you're very interested. You said that you want to be talking about what's it going to be in 15 years, and of course in 50, we want to leave behind a better city than we found it. Jesse cited some statistics. I have a family member who had to leave Norwalk precisely because of this issue, and that could have been a very positive contribution that that family member could have made here to Norwalk, but the rent is just too high. Rent control doesn't mean no rent. It just means a more reasonable increase that families can cope with, so that families can contribute in a positive way to the community like they have for many decades. But we're increasingly seeing a lot of the young people that grew up here can no longer afford it. So that is not a good situation for our city long term. So it is important to bring back this discussion about rent control. It's very important for the community, and we'll be very grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Gemma Rodriguez.
Good evening, Mayor Rios, Vice Mayor Ayala, council members, city staff, and community. I'm Gemma Rodriguez. As many of you know, I'm also part of Norwalk Unides, and I'm here to inquire about the postponed rent stabilization discussion that was proposed from the special meeting former Mayor Valencia called back in November 18th, which I would like to know a synopsis was not made available for the first part of the meeting that was carried out in regards to the homeless plan. Myself, as well as residents on fixed income, single income households, families, and those living at beneath or the poverty level, urge you all for a follow-up date on the pending discussion. I understand Councilmember Valencia no longer serves as mayor, but this should not be a reason for the discussion not to be had. We as a community are still dealing with housing insecurity. Health and wellness has been a recurring theme throughout tonight's meeting. Health and wellness is best supported by making strides towards affordable and secure housing. Affordable and secure housing promotes health and wellness by limiting stressors related to financial burdens. Rent stabilization and the need for it needs to be addressed. The constituents you serve, the ones that put you all in these positions of service and influence, are eagerly awaiting the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Irma Ramos.
Please press the arrow. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is Irma Ramos, and I'm a longtime Norwalk resident. I was initially planning on attending this meeting online and making a comment through Zoom. I'm incredibly disappointed that the City Council is no longer allowing participants to watch these meetings and comment online. I believe that excluding the public from participating online is a direct attack on public civic participation and a disservice to every resident in the city of Norwalk. A resident without a car living 1.8 miles away by Norwalk High School would have to take a bus and make a minimum 15-minute walk to attend this meeting in the dark and in the rain. This feels like we're trying to silence the lower income residents of Norwalk, and I urge you to remedy this injustice. With that said, I came here to speak about how housing insecurity has not been addressed by this council. I made a public comment at a meeting here months ago about my family situation and how illnesses can cost the family. I will not repeat that comment now because it seems to have fallen on deaf ears. No one is safe from illnesses, be it cancer, heart disease, accidents. The problems and stresses of illnesses hurt not just individuals' healths, but also threatens their jobs, their families, and scarily their homes. Imagine having to choose between cancer medications and your mortgage. Imagine having to choose half a bottle of pills or having a roof to shield you from the rain. Unaffordable housing and greedy landlords are hurting residents now. And unless you make a stand, the most vulnerable of us, they'll only suffer more. We will only suffer more. I ask you to make a difference and pass rent control now. Thank you.
Thank you. Sylvester Ani.
I did. Okay, I did that right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sylvester Andy Jr. I'm also here with Norwalk Unides, and I'm also here in support of rent control. As we heard from the previous speakers, we heard statistical data that shows and highlights the positives of investing in rent control, and then we also heard just the moral aspect of it. And I hope that everyone here on the board takes these comments as encouragement for the opportunity to do more. I just, like we were listening, we heard a lot of things are going to be happening in Norwalk, and when people come up to speak, it's to encourage and to give new ideas to make this a place where people can live and not have to be so rent burdened, so that they can actually like enjoy their life instead of just working just to keep a roof over their head, and not being able to really enjoy the life that they live. I can share like a personal story of something that I'm dealing with within ABC USD, which is not too far from here. With ABC USD, they're potentially talking about closing down schools, and a lot of the reasons because of that is because families are aging out and new families can't move in. So as Norwalk is planning all these amazing things for the future, the thing is, I would hate for Norwalk to be in a position where new families can't even move in and start up because of the extreme prices of the cost of living. So I'm here also in support of rent control and some solutions that I would like the city council to look into, just to address whether it's housing insecurity, making sure that people can actually survive and live. Dr. King talked about a guaranteed income. It's Black History Month right now. Dr. King talked about a guaranteed income as one of the ways that we can directly affect and change and eradicate poverty. There's something that they're doing in the city of Compton. The supervisor Holly Mitchell is also doing a pilot in her city. That's one way to address being able to make people be able to spread their dollars a little bit more so that they can be okay. Another thing that we can look into is a housing first solution that was very successful in the state of Utah, and almost eradicated their homelessness issue, like in the 10 years that they did that program. So that's something I would also like the council to look into as just ways that they can address this housing issue and really be leaders in making sure that housing people is the top priority when it comes to their citizens. Thank you.